The described installation likely violates the National Electrical Code, specifically Article 300.3b, which states that electrical installations shall not be accessible to unauthorized persons. Furthermore, Article 300.15 states that concealed raceways shall not be installed in accessible locations. Article 344.10 states that EMT or rigid conduit shall not be used for circuits below 50 volts. Additionally, Article 500.4 requires security circuits to not be exposed to tampering or unauthorized access. The claim of exemption from the permitting process is likely not valid because even public utilities are generally required to obtain permits for electrical installations unless explicitly exempted by local ordinances. It is recommended that you contact the local code enforcement authority to report the alleged code violations. Request an inspection to verify the installation and identify any necessary corrections. Inform the contractor of the code violations and request that they immediately rectify this situation. You should also consider additional security measures, such as adding lockable gates or enclosures around the conduits and J-boxes. The use of chain link fences as a mounting surface for electrical installations is unusual and raises concerns about vandalism and tampering. The presence of low voltage and 120 volt circuits in the same conduit violates an EC separation requirement, specifically Article 300.3c. The installation may pose a safety hazard by providing easy access to electrified components. The following are National Electric Code requirements that may be in violation. Firstly, Article 300.3b states that electrical installations shall not be accessible to unauthorized persons. The described installation on a chain link fence is easily accessible to anyone who can jump the fence, which is a clear violation. Secondly, Article 300.15 states that concealed raceways shall not be installed in accessible locations. While the conduit itself may not be considered a concealed raceway, the fact that it's readily accessible raises concerns, especially with the presence of J-boxes. Thirdly, Article 344.10 states that EMT, electrical metallic tubing, or rigid conduit shall not be used for circuits below 50 volts. If the security circuits are indeed below 50 volts, the use of rigid conduit would violate this article. Fourthly, Article 500.4 addresses the specific requirements for security circuits, stating that they shall not be exposed to tampering or unauthorized access. The installation on a chain link fence makes the security circuits easily vulnerable to tampering. The NEC aims to ensure electrical safety and prevent hazards. Exposing electrical components on a security fence goes against this principle. The NEC covers all aspects of electrical installations, from wiring methods to equipment specifications. It is crucial that electrical work adheres to these standards to ensure safety and reliability. The permitting process ensures that electrical installations are inspected and meet the required safety standards. Exemptions are rare and typically require specific justification. Even if a utility claims exemption, they still have a responsibility to adhere to safety standards. Using chain link fences as a mounting surface for electrical installations is not a standard practice. It raises concerns about physical damage, vandalism, and accessibility to unqualified individuals. Separating low voltage and high voltage circuits is a fundamental safety principle in electrical installations. Mixing them in the same conduit can lead to insulation breakdown and potentially dangerous situations. Tampering with electrical installations can have severe consequences, including electrical shock, fire, and disruption of services. Security measures should be in place to prevent unauthorized access and tampering. The first step is to contact the local code enforcement authority. They have the authority to inspect the installation and issue correction notices. Provide them with all the details and photos if possible. The second step is to formally request an inspection of the installation. This will provide documented evidence of any code violations. The third step is to notify the contractor in writing about the potential code violations. Request that they immediately rectify the situation and provide proof of compliance. The fourth step is to consider implementing additional security measures. This could include adding lockable gates or enclosures around the conduit and J-boxes. The fifth step is to consult with a qualified electrician who is familiar with the NEC and local regulations. They can provide a professional assessment of the installation and recommend appropriate corrective actions. There are several factors that should be considered. Firstly, the type of environment the liquefied natural gas plant presents, including potential hazardous classified locations. Secondly, the specific voltages and currents carried by the conduits. Thirdly, the materials used for the conduit and J boxes. Fourthly, the grounding and bonding of the electrical system. Fifthly, the proximity of the installation to other utilities and structures. When contacting the local code enforcement authority, be prepared to provide the following information. Firstly, the location of the installation. Secondly, the name of the contractor. Thirdly, a description of the alleged code violations. Fourthly, any photographs or videos that support your claims. Fifthly, your contact information. The Code Enforcement Authority will likely conduct an inspection of the installation to verify the alleged code violation. They may issue a notice of violation to the contractor, requiring them to correct the deficiencies within a specified time frame. If the contractor fails to comply with the notice of violation, the Code Enforcement Authority may take further action, such as issuing fines or shutting down the installation. It is important to document all communication with the contractor and the Code Enforcement Authority. This will provide a record of your efforts to address the code violations. Keep copies of all letters, emails, and inspection reports. If the contractor refuses to cooperate or the Code Enforcement Authority is unresponsive, you may need to seek legal counsel. An attorney can advise you on your legal rights and options. They can also help you navigate the legal process and ensure that your interests are protected. Ultimately, it is the responsibility of the property owner and the contractor to ensure that electrical installations comply with the NEC and local regulations. Failure to do so can result in serious consequences, including fines, legal action, and potential safety hazards. By taking proactive steps to address the code violations, you can help ensure the safety and reliability of the electrical system at the liquefied natural gas plant. The purpose of the NEC is to protect people and property from hazards arising from the use of electricity. It covers a wide range of electrical installations, including residential, commercial, and industrial. The NEC is updated every 3 years to reflect the latest advances in electrical technology and safety practices. It is essential for electricians, contractors, and inspectors to stay up to date on the latest version of the NEC. The local Code Enforcement Authority is responsible for enforcing the NEC and local regulations. They have the authority to inspect electrical installations and issue correction notices. They can also take enforcement action against those who violate the code. The permitting process is a critical component of electrical safety. It ensures that electrical installations are reviewed and inspected by qualified professionals. Permits are typically required for new installations, alterations, and repairs. The claim of exemption from the permitting process should be carefully scrutinized. Public utilities may be exempt from certain permitting requirements, but they are still generally required to comply with safety standards. The use of chain link fences as a mounting surface for electrical installations is generally not recommended. It is difficult to properly secure the conduits and J boxes to the fence. The fence itself may not be strong enough to support the weight of the electrical equipment. The presence of low voltage and 120 volt circuits in the same conduit creates a potential safety hazard. The low voltage circuits may be damaged by the high voltage. The high voltage circuits may create a shock hazard for those working on the low voltage circuits. Tampering with electrical installations is a serious crime. It can result in significant property damage and personal injury. Security measures should be in place to prevent unauthorized access and tampering. Additional security measures should be considered, such as adding lockable gates or enclosures around the conduits and J boxes. This will make it more difficult for unauthorized individuals to access the electrical equipment. Regular inspection should be conducted to identify any potential problems with the electrical installation. This will allow you to address any issues before they become serious safety hazards. A qualified electrician should be hired to perform the inspections. The electrical system should be properly grounded and bonded to prevent electrical shock hazards. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping a circuit breaker or fuse and energizing the circuit. Bonding connects all metal parts of the electrical system together, creating a low impedance path for fault current. All electrical equipment should be properly labeled and identified. This will help prevent confusion and ensure that the equipment is used safely. Warning signs should be posted to alert people to potential electrical hazards. These signs should be placed in conspicuous locations where they can be easily seen. Employees who work with electricity should be properly trained. They should be aware of the hazards associated with electricity and how to work safely. They should also be trained in first aid and CPR. A written safety program should be developed and implemented. This program should outline the procedures for working safely with electricity. It should also include information on emergency procedures. Regular safety meetings should be held to discuss electrical safety issues. These meetings should provide an opportunity for employees to ask questions and share concerns. The electrical system should be regularly maintained to ensure that it is in good working condition. This includes inspecting and testing the equipment, replacing worn or damaged parts, and cleaning the system. A preventive maintenance program should be developed and implemented. This program should outline the schedule for performing maintenance tasks. It should also include a checklist of items to be inspected and tested. All electrical work should be performed by qualified electricians. They should be licensed and insured. They should also be familiar with the NEC and local regulations. A contract should be signed with the electrician before any work is performed. This contract should outline the scope of work, the payment terms, and the warranty. All electrical equipment should be approved for use in the specific location. This means that the equipment has been tested and certified by a recognized testing laboratory. The equipment should be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. All wiring should be properly sized and installed. The wiring should be protected from physical damage. The wiring should be supported and secured. All connections should be tight and secure. All electrical boxes should be properly grounded. The electrical boxes should be accessible for inspection and maintenance. All circuit breakers and fuses should be properly sized and labeled. The circuit breakers and fuses should be tested regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. All electrical equipment should be protected from the weather. The equipment should be installed in a weatherproof enclosure. The equipment should be protected from moisture and corrosion. All electrical equipment should be protected from flammable materials. The equipment should be installed in a non-combustible enclosure. The equipment should be located away from flammable materials. All electrical equipment should be protected from hazardous locations. The equipment should be approved for use in the specific hazardous location. The equipment should be installed in accordance with the requirements for the hazardous location. The liquefied natural gas plant likely has specific safety requirements due to the presence of flammable materials. These requirements should be followed carefully. The NEC provides specific guidelines for electrical installations in hazardous locations. These guidelines are designed to minimize the risk of explosion or fire. The electrical installation should be inspected by a qualified inspector to ensure that it complies with the NEC and local regulations. The inspector should be independent from the contractor who performed the work. The inspector should provide a written report of the inspection. The report should identify any code violations or safety hazards. The code violation should be corrected before the electrical system is put into service. The electrical system should be maintained in good working condition. Regular inspections and maintenance should be performed to ensure that the system is safe and reliable.